Hey humans, Real Jacob here. May 3rd, 2025. Yeah, I guess it's getting kind of late. Must be about 9 or so. Anyhow, I keep putting it off now because it seems like a big task, and I was kind of sick a good part of the day. Man, almost felt like hungover. I still got some lingering effects, but I'm pretty sure I just really needed to get some iron and protein in me, so I had some stew heated up on yonder fire. But anyway, the story of the 16-day stay, last stay, I think it was my second to the longest stay in jail, period, but it was the longest hunger strike for sure. It was the craziest stay, actually, compared to all the other crazy shit going around with me and the cops and all that. It was pretty crazy. I mean, and there was a lot of it. And my task is to try to at least document it. And man, that's when you really wish you had electricity. Like, if I had my laptop and I didn't have to run a monitor because the screen's fucked up, and, could just like flip it up and sit down, I'd be pounding on them keys. I need to get that shit done anyway for my business. I did spend some time at the library, man, but it was loud, as all libraries have become nowadays. Like, inexcusably loud. Loud phone call at the receptionist desk. Employees at the library talking across the room to one another. Like, no, restraint. I think I'm a heavy typer. I don't know. I guess that's just the way I am. But, yeah, I did learn on a typewriter back sophomore year. Good old MDR. Shout out to class of 1991. Anyhow, I think when I'm pounding on the keys and they, it seems like people started to be more and more quiet. And the kids were not even the worst of them. It was the adults. They've all abandoned this whole idea of libraries. Anyway, that's not what this is about. Yeah. So I thought the best thing is just start doing it. I may not get through it. I'll just do day one. Spliced together somehow, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, on day one, which was April 15th, 2025, I did a little video on my handy cam. I was going to bike to Viroqua, turn myself in. I had some errands on the way. Stopped in Reedstown, did a deposit. Had the child support check written out on me. Also was going to charge up the e-bike at the gas station where I ran into the neighbor, so I sat there for about an hour, let it charge, visited with them, rode in. Battery eventually died, and predictably. I thought there would be some walking and some hard pedaling, because that thing's like pedaling a tank once the battery's down. It's got extra weight of battery and motor, and I like it cushy, so it's got fat tires. Yeah. You really get spoiled on that. And anyway, it was about time because I was good and saddle sore. I don't ride a lot much anymore. That was the longest ride I probably made in 2 years or more. And I hadn't been on it pretty much at all this year. Very little last year to even get any kind of saddle soreness worked out. But so yeah, I was walking when I saw Vernon County pass me going the opposite direction. So I undid the lock on my bike chain and predictably came up behind me, and I didn't want to be caught on the side of the road out there with these clowns alone. So when he got out, I told him, I continued walking. I said, I'm going to a well-lit public place. And he started barking orders, and there's traffic going by, so it was a little hard to hear. I couldn't hear specifically what he was saying, but you could tell he was barking about something. And I said, again, I'm going to a well-lit public place, and just continued to walk. Well, he went back to his truck, got in, pulled up again behind me, and got out. And pretty much the same thing. I said, I'm going to a well-lit public place. Just continued walking, didn't even slow down. And he got out and yelled something, I don't know what. I presume it was something like, So, again, he goes back to his truck, jumps in, pulls up behind me. And now there's a second squad coming. And, I was pretty tired. So I sat down in the ditch, and because I didn't know what these jokers were going to do or try, I kind of put the bike across me to protect myself and chained my leg to it. Not where I thought I might, where I kind of had, thought would be a good place, but I felt a little bit of pressure that they might be on me. So I did what I thought was about the next best. Well, one guy came up and said something. He approached the scene in a pretty friendly manner, I got to say. And said, you chained the bike to yourself. That was pretty smart. And his other brother came, and they said, well, we got some bolt cutters. Well, they looked for the bolt cutters, couldn't find them. And then they're going to look in the other guy's truck for the bolt cutters. Now, they couldn't find bolt cutters in there. About that time, Ken Fry showed up. And they suggested to him that they'd go and get some bolt cutters. And Ken lost his shit that day. Ken lost his shit that day. Good old Ken Fry. Oh, yeah. There's 3 body cams on that one, Ken. I don't know what you're going to say, boy. But, yeah. He was getting close to it before. He would try to taunt me and use fighting words while he's standing there in uniform with his buddy and all their guns and all their accoutrement of their trade, trying to taunt me, call me tough guy and all this stuff. Like the kind of shit that if you're saying to another guy in the bar is like you're saying it before you're going to be swinging or going outside or at least circling, whatever they do nowadays. But, good old Ken Fry showed up, and so he's going to... We've been going up the escalation ladder for 15 years now, and Ken keeps trying to make sure I pay for it physically each time. Yeah, Ken Fry, that was the guy that was there during the famous video, that Fry. And in the other video, that Fry. Pretty sure Ken Fry followed me across a pasture and a creek one day. Back in 2010, I want to say. Anyhow, it's all public records, folks. Nothing I can do to stop you if you want to get it. So, Ken starts dragging on that chain. He's going to get it off me. And that's why I knew the spot would be particular. And that the one I chose was not foolproof by a long shot. But Ken's going to make it rough. He's going to do it the rough way. He ain't going to be polite or gentle about it. So he starts using excessive force immediately. And at this time, I had pulled out my handy cam from my side pouch and was filming it silently. Most of the time, they're getting an earful by this point. I'm shutting them up. But I was going to do something different with Vernon County on the next time. Got to keep it random, folks. Got to keep it random. So, plus, at that point, you know what? I really don't have a whole lot to say to these guys. I mostly have said it all, but they're really not. Yeah. Anyway, the way they've done me, no. And that time, right after that, when you take everything from a guy in the middle of the night and leave him nude to sleep on a steel bench or a concrete floor, but you could take your choice. No mattress, no blanket, no sheet, no clothes. Took everything out. And then leave me in there for hours like that. The only reason I ended up getting something And yeah, I'm going to try not to get off track. But the only reason I got some that day is because I jumped up at breakfast and went out of my cell. Of course, you're not supposed to do. And grabbed it. I saw it was out in the day room, and I went out and grabbed it. And then there was a slight struggle from the kid jailer they had to keep me from. I grabbed my blanket too, and he got half of the blanket. It was already in two pieces, so it was kind of I got half, he got half, and I got the mattress, and they didn't try to take it from me. Anyway, going to try to stay on track. That's a whole different story. Yeah. But, what do you say to guys after that? Yeah. So, I'm not saying anything. Ken's losing his shit. He's pulling the chain down. Then he tries taking the whole bike with my leg still attached to it and, flipping it over. He's trying to, dislocate my hip or some shit like that. You could see. And, oh, yeah, it hurt. But I didn't give him any satisfaction. But, he realized that wasn't going to work, or he was going to break something in the process. So, put it back down, and then it just worked on the chain, and then he tore my shoes off and managed to get the chain down around my ankle. So, that part was solved. Now he's going to come around and grab the camera. I actually thought he broke it. I thought I felt some piece come off. And I don't know if they stuck a piece back on. It felt like some kind of cover came off. And I thought maybe just something opened, because when I got it back, other than the lens cover still being open, it seemed to be intact. And I have charged it, but I don't think I've tested it yet or checked the videos or whatever. Yeah, so Ken starts going to work now. He knees me in the side, he's coming down, and he's going to make sure he knees me. And then they're going to be like, okay, roll him over. And he puts all of his weight on my back, and everybody would have heard it. My whole back is cracked, like you might get, at a chiropractor or something. And I got to say, the position and the weight was discomfort, but the back cracking it probably helped. I had just biked 16 miles, and yes, it was on an e-bike. It would still work for me because, like I said, I don't bike a lot these days. So I can walk and walk and walk, but biking takes a lot more muscles and energy. So and then what he does is he starts jabbing his thumb into the side of my neck, pushing hard, like you would if you're trying to break the skin or some shit. He's trying to hide this shit. You can tell he's trying not to show that he's lost his shit and he's assaulting me, but he is. And it should come through, I think, on his body cam, on the other two guys' body cams, because they're just standing by, kind of. But you can tell Ken's losing his shit, but he's going to try to make it look like he's just doing his job. But the jabbing in the neck, I don't know how he's going to explain that, except he probably was trying to make sure the camera couldn't see it. And I didn't give him any satisfaction on that either. So they got me chained from behind and dragged me over to the car. And they're going to put me in the back, face down, so they're trying to pick me up. Ken gets in front of me and lifts up my body weight by his forearm on my throat, which instantly starts to choke me. He's pulling up, and my body weight is the counter force. He's trying to lift me up by the throat to put me in the car. And seeing that I'm gagging and that's failing, he just tries then to do it at the crook of his elbow. Yeah, that's coyotes yipping. Pretty distant though. Yeah. So he chokes me again, trying to lift me in, and realize he's just trying to hurt me, and of course I'm offering no resistance. No assistance, but no resistance. And so they load me in, And they pull me upright. And now they're trying to get the seatbelt on. And now I finally say something. Because in the videos, people pointed out, wow, no seatbelt, what? That's a violation right there, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they never try to put a seatbelt on me. And all of a sudden, they're putting a seatbelt on me. And that was not wasted. Ken's leaning over me, he's trying to do it, and I said, looks like someone's been reading the comment section. And that's all I said. I might have said seatbelt. Oh, looks like someone's been reading the comment section. So that should be on his cam. See, because they know, I think that's why Ken's so pissed off, because he knows now the cat's out of the bag. It's fucking out of the bag. And yeah, are there many more haters on Code Blue Cam Vid than on the Here's the Deal one? No doubt. But they're just your typical, they'd have hated me no matter what, just by the way I look. The way those comments are, it's mostly this guy looks crazy. I can smell him through the screen kind of shit. And, you know, what a scumbag. It's confirmation to me of what I presume bootlicking normies pretty much think of me anyway. You know, having never dealt with me or had to encounter me in person. Most of them, when they got to deal with me at the shows, I actually think I'm a pleasant person. They probably just presume we would not agree on things, but yeah, no. So they load me in, and did they shackle my legs? I can't remember if they used, I think they might have put leg shackles on me. You know, it's not that I've ever ran from them or that they're like, oh, you're going to run. It's just like, you know, there may be some policy of theirs that says they got to do it when they're transporting whatever. It's pretty much just to be like, yeah, let's try to degrade the guy as much as we can. And that shit don't work on me. You know what? The more they fucking handle electric chair me and all that shit, the more the more, not just resilient, but the more it's like, dude, that gives me fucking so much street cred. Like, I can't put myself in that chair multiple times. I can't leave my sit in that chair for over 5 fucking hours straight. Like, that, I can't do that shit. They gotta do it for me. Sometimes I tell them, I said, you guys make me the legend that I am. I can't do it alone. They gotta do their part and fucking, you know, like, I'm a peace-loving man. Give me my fucking little acre and garden and homestead, and I'll leave you all in peace. I got no beef with your average person who ain't fucking with me. None at all. I may not like them or the way they're living, but I ain't gonna. You do you. I'll do me. You just extend me the same courtesy I extend to you. Live and let live. But nah. Got all these people out there, this obsessive compulsive society is like, oh no, we need to use the power of state to get everybody in line with our beliefs, the way we think. You know, just a reminder, even if you think that government is necessary, people set up government to make their lives better and to serve them, presumably. That obviously isn't the way it plays out, but that was the idea, not to be like some kind of thing to be worshipped or idolized, where you have like these pomp and circumstances and all these props and all of that stuff. It wasn't supposed to be a religion. It's like, okay, let's set up these institutions to maybe like get some common defense and some basic justice. And now it's like, oh, let's set up these institutions to control every little manner of everybody's lives. And don't forget, we need, you know, to have all the pomp and circumstance that goes with it, and all the specialties and privileges and all the bullshit. Anyway, all right. See, this is why it's such a daunting task. Stick to the task. So, of course, I take the seatbelt off and I lay back, and I think I put my chained feet up around the headrest then. If not, I definitely did it on the way over to Marquette. I did it at one point. I can't remember if I did it both times. It's not comfortable. So I wouldn't recommend it. Just trying to be a little bit of a pain in the ass, I guess. You know, of course, they take it right off. It's not really a problem for them. But, so they get me to Monroe County, which they're taking me there for warrants. They had said they were going to charge me for calling them. You know, they can say a lot of things. Basically, if they're telling you, they're hoping that you don't, and then you do. And okay, we'll charge them. So they did. I think it's 4 charges over there. God, I can't even think. Anyway, it's going to be 25C and 137 in Monroe County, Wisconsin. Anyone can double check that. Read the complaint. Yeah, the prosecutor over there, the criminal himself, I believe the name's Croninger. I call him Hit and Run. Street name Hit and Run. Out drinking one night. Hit somebody's vehicle. Left the scene. He admitted he'd been drinking. He said he wasn't impaired. But who knew? Because he left the scene. Turned himself in later. Probably knew that it was a matter of time. Too many cameras. Blah, blah, blah. Paint. Blah, blah, blah. Witnesses. Ring cams. But it's the next day. You can't get a blood alcohol from the night before. Yeah. And of course, he's the DA, so his office can't really prosecute it. So they refer it to the next county. Be like, yo, can you guys prosecute this? They're like, oh, yeah, sure. Hey, you know what? We'll just give you a non-traffic citation, kind of like what you might get if you let your grass grow long or something, you know, and then it'll be in a court of no record. And you know what? I don't know if it was in a court of no record, but most of those little non-traffic citations are in their municipal courts. And in Wisconsin, those are not courts of record. Go ahead and try to look up those records. And they don't use, like, normal due process standards. Anyway, fortunately, you are entitled to do a de novo hearing if you end up in one of these rinky-dink courts. But you got to play your cards right and at the right time to get that. So, you know. So anyway, he gets his little slap on the wrist and goes about his job. This criminal is now going to prosecute other people for crimes. What a joke. And he's no fan of free speech, you know. Doesn't like people maybe reminding the public of what a criminal he is. But he's going to get jail time out of those people who call up and redress their grievances. Who don't use approved words when they do. So we need to find out from old Hit and Run, what words may we use to redress our grievances? What tone? Yeah, he got his own special song. You know, part of being annoying is being repetitive. You know. So they take me to Monroe County. And then the fun begins. So they drag me in, and I'm still quiet. And they lay me in the cell, and my wrists were already, like, starting to really suffer. Like, I was having to, like, lift up and, like, try to, like, get blood to one of the hands. Because you're handcuffed behind your back. And, you know, there's no two ways about it. It's going to be cutting in on one side or the other, and you try to, like... But, yeah. So they lay me down on the bunk with the cuffs behind me. And then this really hurts. And I'm not crying out, but I immediately, like, try to get them out of the very painful position they are. And they take this as some sign of struggling. Like, yeah, guys, I'm going to fucking bust out of the cuffs. So they're like, nope, nope. And they, like, pile on me. Which, of course, makes it twice as bad. And now I'm like, you're killing my wrist. And they're like, just sit still. So I got to fucking sit there and endure this to show them that I'm not even going to squirm before then they finally roll me over and take them off. And I'm pretty sure that it was at that moment that this nerve damage that I'm suffering here in this thumb, still this side numb, this pinky still got the tinglies. This hand... Today, the side of it, as I reported before, was numb all the way up to the pinky. Just the whole side, like the edge, like the karate chop edge. And it has been feeling like it's asleep or coming out of sleep. Like you get that feeling every time you move it, use it. So I don't know if that's, I presume these are good signs, like the nerve is regrowing, doing something. But at any rate, I'm pretty sure if it happened, it happened then. So then they roll me over and they cut the shirts off of me. Destroy my belt. I thought they destroyed my pants. I couldn't find it. I thought, man, it felt like they ripped them down the back. It must have been something else. But, stripped me down, left me with a pair of pants, a size medium, which I didn't put on. Now I'm in the cell. Of course, they've taken my glasses. So they're going to cover it up right away. And I'm sure if they had not been pre-warned, like if they had not talked to them even a little bit about me, that when they transported me, there had to have been that like, okay, hey, this is this guy. Here's some of the things you might expect. But these are the deputies, and they are not jailers. And the jailers are going to be the ones with the real insight. And like, oh, yeah, here, by the way. So the memo was not passed, to put it that way. And so now Monroe County's got me. And I'm sure even if they thought they were, so yeah, whatever, Vernon County, we'll show you guys how to handle an inmate. Okay, yeah. So now Monroe County's got me, and yeah, that is when, it was shortly after, he must have, because he did call the deputy while we were writing. Roy Torgerson called the deputy. And I knew that Lafarge wanted to serve me, or at least I knew that their attorney wanted to serve me because her secretary told me so. So, but they hadn't. And I knew if they arrested me, they'd serve me. In fact, I kind of alluded to that, like, don't worry, you guys have your chance very soon. So, yeah. Roy apparently decided to drive from Viroqua over to Sparta. Not a long drive, but not a short one. It's not the next town over, And he's the sheriff. He's the head guy. He could have had anybody do it. He could have faxed it over. I mean, the time you're going to spend him to drive there and back, what do you think it costs an hour to keep a joker like that on the feed? Anyway, yeah. Nah, he wanted to make it personal. And I think he wanted to feel like, yeah, we put you in this cage. Because, of course, for Roy, that'd be the worst day of his life. And, just kind of wanted to rub it in somehow. So I had gotten up. They had a damn drywall ceiling in Monroe County Jail. Okay, I don't know who the hell uses drywall in a ceiling, but they do. And they had added like some box or covered up some box. And I know they probably had to add this drop ceiling for like network cables and shit like that. Probably was not the original design. But they're the ones who decided to retrofit it with fucking drywall. So there it is. And slop job around the box. Some drywall paper hanging down. I get up on the stool. Dude, if there is a chink in the armor, I find it. Like, boom. Like, saw that. I peel off, like, 3 little tiny pieces of paper. I mean, I think the biggest one might have been the size of, like, half of my thumb. Tiny little pieces. They were just pretty much hanging there. I peeled them back. That's how I knew it was drywall. I'm like, oh, fucking drywall. So they're yelling, get down, get out, don't do that. Fuck you, this is my house, get the fuck out, fuck you, Because that's when I started giving them the shit, is when they hurt me with the wrists, and then when they finally let me go, and then they cut my shirts off and everything to leave me in the cell. Now I start my mouth. Now they're going to hear me. Now I'm starting to make some noise, going to cause some trouble. Now the shit started. So they want me down. They're going to cover up my cell, though, because I'm door barking a little bit, probably. And then they open the door, and there's like 3 or 4 jailers out there, and a little dude, old dude, in a blue suit, blue shirt, cop badge. And I'm thinking this is their captain. He's going to come and tell me how shit's going to be, whatever. And I immediately get in his face, get the fuck out of my house, fucking. And he's going to hand me this stack of papers, and he's like, "You're served." And I fucking take the papers, and I think I tried to chuck them by them, like chuck them out into the hallway, because it was a good stack. And they like picked them all up, and then I'm fucking face to face with this dude, stark nude, and fucking telling him to get the fuck out. And he's standing there giving me this stupid grin, but he wasn't looking like he was fucking ready for this shit. And I look down to see who I'm gonna fucking bark at, and it's fucking Roy Torgerson. And I've given Roy some shit. I've given Roy some shit face to face. I chased Roy off with the camera back when he was just a lowly deputy. That was a funny day. But pretty sure he was out of his jurisdiction too. But no, I wouldn't recognize that little shit. And I'd blown up his voicemail a couple of times, and when he wasn't taking it, and sometimes the administrators and staff would get a message to relay. Yeah, good choice. Should be public record, guys. I'm not going to say I'm not an asshole, but I'm also going to not say that I wasn't provoked, that they didn't make this monster. Yeah. Anyway, so it's Roy Torgerson, and I see that, and I say, "Oh, Roy boy." So I start in on him then, and all he could say is, "You're served. You're served." He said it like 7 or 8 times, and I'm fucking standing at least a foot over this guy. And, when he saw me look at his and realize who he was, like, didn't even recognize him. Like, he turned so red. Like, I think it was genuine embarrassment. Like, and how that ended, because believe me, man, this fucker's standing in front of me trying to bitch me in jail. And, I mean, I'm fucking controlled enough. I ain't going to be fucking smacking no cop. But believe me, if I wanted to clean his fucking clock, man, there wasn't a fucking thing to stop me. Like, those guys were behind him. And that's how that ended, is Lubke, like, put his hand on his shoulder, and the others, like, pulled him out of my cell. Like, get him the fuck out of there, because this could go south in about half a second. So they take Roy out. They leave the papers. It's like a lot of it's like pictures of my stuff at Green Roof. So I take a couple of those, wad them up, wet them, cover up the door on my side now because they're covering the door on their side. And I wet one, I cover up the camera. And then I get up and I start looking for chinks on the drywall. I think maybe I'd only picked 2 pieces and then I got a third. Well, they could see what the hell's going on. They don't like it. They're telling me to get down. I'm like, go fuck yourself. Get the fuck out of my house. Bullshit, whatever I do. And I don't know if Monroe County has body cam. I can't remember, man. It seems like a long time ago. But that was April 15th. So I wasn't in there very long before they're like, okay, he's going to do it like this. I did like tug and pull at the pants, kind of like to let him out. You know what I mean? Because they gave me a medium. I knew they weren't going to fit. And but those were still in there. So they came and decided they're going to take me out of the cell. I presume because I was getting up to the ceiling. And no, what they're going to do is they're going to, okay, we're going to show you. Like, we're going to show you how we deal with these kind of guys. So they come to drag me out. And I do dead weight, so they're dragging me to the rubber room. They drag me in, plop me down. And it's not like a padded room. It's hard rubber, like a shoe sole, something hard and dense. It's not like you can push your thumb into it. It won't leave. You can't push your thumb into it. It's like you can't push your thumb into your shoe sole. Yes, if you try to hit your head on the corners, it's not going to crack it open quite as easily as concrete would, but it's going to hurt like fuck. This is hard rubber. So they take me in there, plop me down. Nude. This room has no sink or toilet. It's got like a 14 by 14 inch grate, or maybe 10 by 14 inch grate in the middle of the floor with like little bars across it. Presumably that is your latrine, because there ain't nothing else in there. Except 2 cameras, one in opposite corners. And the call button. The rest of it is hard rubber, 2 doors. One going out into the sally port and one going out into receiving. I didn't know where the second one went until they took me to Marquette County, and when I was in the sally port, that's when I figured it out. It's P1 is the padded one. The rubber room. So I'm deposited in there with nothing. They don't bring me a mattress. They don't bring me a blanket. They don't bring me a suicide gown. They don't bring me a uniform. I'm in there naked. And would stay in there naked until the next day after lunch. So I ended up getting arrested sometime, I want to say, around 12:45. I got to Sparta, to Monroe County, about 1:30. I want to say by 3 o'clock, I was in the rubber room, naked, and stayed there until sometime after 12 o'clock the next day. In the morning, after suffering true hypothermia, where I was shivering uncontrollably and hyperventilating like I've never done before, and couldn't stop shivering and couldn't stop hyperventilating, except for like brief moments, and then start again. If there was a time I was most worried about my heart, it was then, because I'm like, I can't breathe like this forever. And I wasn't crying out. I wasn't going to the thing, because they ignored me anyway. But never did I push that, and they responded. But it did so happen that a jailer, while they're checking on me, because they got to check on you every once in a while, saw this and called the nurse, and they came in, and he was pushing on me, saying, can the nurse treat you? And I said, get the fuck off me, because he's like holding me down on my chest. And he's like, can the nurse? I'm like, get the fuck off me. And they just left me with a blanket. Now, by law, she actually has to be the one. The healthcare provider actually has to be the one to tell you that treatment is available. And you can decline. You can decline their treatment. But that's the way the law is written. Is that they can provide you the healthcare provider. The healthcare provider has to let you know that care is available. And she never said boo. I don't even know if it was a male or female because my eyes were closed. But they did then give me a suicide blanket. But that wasn't until, I want to estimate, between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. So I had already been in there, 3 a.m. would have been 12 hours. So 18 or 19 hours when the hypothermia cut in. So anyway, when they put me in there, let's cut back to when they first put me in. See, this is it. I'm on like the first few hours and it's 40 minutes long. So I start raising hell, I got my song for hit and run. Hey, hit and run, where you hiding? Can't drink on the job no more. Hey, hit and run. I can't remember if it was You're Such a Pussy or if it was something else. For drinking on the job and doing hit and runs. Hit and runs. Hit and run, 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 and run, and hit and run, hit and run, and DUI too. Croninger, he likes his hit and runs. He likes his DUI, but only when he's drunk. Anyway, he got a song, and I repeated it a lot. And like I said, it was probably about 3 o'clock, and so a couple hours later, they bring me a tray of food. Again, memo not passed. So, and some sloppy mashed potato shit. First sling hits the first camera like, blop! Like, perfect coverage, man. Like, little too much because a lot of it went on the wall. So, take what's left, go over to the other camera. Actually, then I had to use a little manual coverage to try to get it. But, yeah, and then I began to use the tray for my concert. So, the best ones are the doors because, you know, you got something hollow behind them. And, so I was making a pretty good noise with the tray, as much as you can on a rubber door. You know, it's not like an unrubbered door, I can tell you that. Or on like a steel bunk. Oofda. So, I'm banging on turns out to be the Sallyport door. I don't really hear him come in, but I look over and there's a bunch of jailers coming in. Big guy first, Lubke. Luebke. And, you know, I know better, so I toss the tray down on the floor. And, but I'm still facing the door, and I'm still in there nude. And he comes up behind me and grabs my arm, puts it behind my back, and pins me into the corner of the door, you know, with my hand behind my back. And he's trying to bend my wrist in. And I feel what he's trying to do, and I know exactly what he's trying to do because these motherfuckers like to do this. It's a pain compliance technique where they take your hand and they hyperextend it inwards towards your wrist and forearm. And not only is it very painful and uncomfortable, but it actually causes like some damage. It's kind of like spraining your wrist. As you can imagine it would. It's going to hurt not just that day. It's going to hurt for a while. And I hate to admit this because then they're like, yeah, let's do that to him again. But they do it. And I can feel he's doing it. And I tell him, I'm not resisting. And he's trying to do it. I mean, it's a very quick thing. I said, I'm not resisting. And I said, you can't use pain on I think I said pain compliance techniques, but I said, you can't inflict pain on an inmate. Something like that. As he's trying to do it. Well, then he does it. And I scream out, you know, ah! I don't fight him at all. No resistance. No one could say I was. I was still standing on my own. I probably should have just deadmanned it, and then what's he going to do? But, so I yell, and then he turns and runs out. Like, that was kind of funny. Like, they were all, like, rushing out. But he's going to, like, give me that and then rush out. And they rush out and close the door. So now I'm in there, but that would have been about 4:30 when they serve supper over there, 4:30 or 5. They don't serve supper till 6 over in Marquette County. That's the latest I've seen. Most of them are like 4:45, 5 o'clock. It seemed to me like they maybe brought me a tray early. But you have no clock. Your sense of time is totally skewed. Especially if you do manage to get some sleep. Now you're all fucked up. You got no windows to even relate if the sun's up or anything. But that's not the most of your problems, believe me. So I do my thing. I was so fresh. I still had my voice. It's coming back. But yeah, so I did my concert till about 4 a.m., singing the hit and run song, doing a lot of other things, doing my raps, practicing some of my Jack Harlow, no doubt did some polka, been doing a lot of polka. You know what, guys, you got to be careful about encouraging me. I have not seen me sing on that video, because that video from a month ago, I still haven't seen it. I still haven't seen the whole thing. I've replied to some of the comments. I've learned more from the comment section than I have from watching the video. Apparently some cops said I had a good voice. Guys, don't encourage me like that. You just have to hear more of it then. So anyway, doing a lot of singing, a lot of noise making. And in the middle of the night, when you're doing this, 1, 2 a.m., you've been going for a while, it gets pretty annoying. And then some of the other guys start to go off. You can hear this one guy, shut him the fuck up. Now this guy's going off. And now they got to deal with him. And that's kind of the thing, is that shit's got to roll downhill. And so, now they got to deal with him, and he's pissed off. And they're not even trying to deal with me, because now they're learning, holy shit, what have we here? This guy ain't submitting. So, but about 4 or 4:30, I estimate, a.m., I was really getting tired, wound down, used my energy, and I was cold. I'm in this cell naked, and I pretty much stayed standing the whole time to avoid sitting or lying on the cold, hard floor, naked. But eventually that's what I had to do. And you can only lay on your side for about a minute or two at a time before you got to roll over, because the pain of sleeping on something hard like that on your hips and shoulders, pressure points, it's hard. And eventually, you'll find a way to lay on your back on that cold floor. But now you got the pressure points at basically your tailbone, your shoulder blades, and the back of your head, which is not at all comfortable. And eventually you'll have to go back to your side. You'll just keep tossing and turning. At least if you slept in... Yeah, I've done a lot of roughing it. I have slept on concrete. I have slept in hard places, but it's never comfortable. And so I didn't sleep. I don't think I slept for at least the first 2 days. I can't remember when I first slept, but and I usually do find some sleep, but this time I was just really fired up. And it was a new jail. I was trying to impress him. I don't know. But, so I laid down, and at 7, I'm just laying there curled up in the furthest corner from the door. And at breakfast time, the guy comes. He's like, I need you to stand up and get against the back wall so I can give you your breakfast. Like I said, I'm curled up in the back corner, basically with my head towards the back wall against it. And I said, just put it on the floor or something like that. And he's like, I need you to stand up and get it against the back wall or you're not getting your breakfast. I said, you are required to provide me with 3 fully cooked, wholesome meals. Or I can't remember if I usually tell them the law part. I said at least you're required to provide me with food. And he's like, fine. And he just took it. So he took my breakfast from me. Which would have been important, probably at least the 8 ounces of milk. And I don't know if they serve the 4-ounce apple juice over there, but a lot of them do, I think. So Marquette County does not do the 4-ounce apple juice. They do an 8-ounce milk, which will give you, the 1% will give you 15% of your vitamin D, and you're pretty much just bucked on the other 85% because you're supposed to get that from sunlight on the skin, right? Yeah, you're not going to get any sunlight in those jails. Just disillusion yourself with this idea that they have like exercise yards and guys get to go out when out. No. We're talking county jail. You get to go out into the day room and stare at a fucking little TV with a bunch of other guys all day is what you get to do. Listen to play fucking, sometimes I call it slapjacks because they play cards, but you got to throw the card down hard. If you ain't like slapping that bitch down, you ain't really playing. I used to be like the guy who didn't. I'd just be like tossing my shit out there like I'm playing cards with non-inmates. But anyway, so he pulls my breakfast. But I don't, like I said, this cell doesn't have a toilet and a sink. So I had my chance for supper. By the way, supper, the one that I flung, it came with a cup, an empty cup, and the little Kool-Aid package. Like, you could go to your sink and make your little Kool-Aid. That's how they do it there. I didn't get that option. I just got an empty cup, no sink. Drain through the floor, you can't reach your hand down through there. Besides, it's a fucking toilet. It's a fucking toilet. So, at a certain point, the guy who took my breakfast comes back and he's like, "Do you want water?" And I think I said something like, "Everybody needs water. You have to, tell them the laws." Like, they're still trying to get me to bend, break, beg, whatever the fuck their jerks are trying to do. Get their rocks, their jollies from leaving someone naked in their cell. I wonder if they're PREA compliant. That's the Prison Rape Elimination Act. And leaving somebody naked in a cell, I don't know if that's PREA compliant. I think they're supposed to, keep people, give them their dignity so they can at least have clothing. Even if they wanted to say, well, we didn't know if he was suicidal, they could have gave me a suicide gown. Oh, yeah, they could have done that. No, they all just think that they can get away with this shit. What's this scumbag going to do? We'll see. So, at about 8 o'clock, like an hour after breakfast, and again, I'm just curled up in the corner of this rubber room. The door opens. I look over my shoulder, and it's this dude coming through with this big clear shield, and he's behind it, crouched down behind it. And I look behind him, and I think I'm seeing 5 other guys, so there's 6 in total. This guy with this giant shield facing me, and 5 other guys and girls. And they're all lined up behind him. And then they got the big guy Lubke behind the shield. And he's not holding it, but he's behind it. He comes forward, and they put a styrofoam cup of water down on the floor. And then they retreat. And dude, that's fucking hilarious. That was so fucking funny. I laughed and mocked them. I'm pretty sure I said, "You guys make me the legend," that dudes, you're going to do it like that? Guys, get that body cam, guys. If there is a cam of that shit. I was in P1, that would have been April 16th, 2025 in Monroe County Jail at approximately 8 o'clock. 8 a.m. in the morning. These jokers come to me. It was sometime after breakfast. So they leave me there with their nasty little cup of water, and I don't trust it, and I don't trust it, and I don't drink it. That fucking water's nasty anyway, and like I said, I got no fucking reason to trust these jokers. Don't know what the hell was in that cup, where that cup had been. You piss them off, you're at their mercy. You really, they got ways to get back. In fact, man, I got a rash on my neck. I know I got in jail, and I don't know what the fuck they had on their towels or whatever. But I was using it to wrap around my neck in part to keep warm, or around my head and ears and eyes to rest my eyes from not having glasses for all that time. Anyway, yeah, we're coming up on an hour, and I'm only getting through to day one. So, try to be brief about that part. All I had to do was lay there. I'd kind of used it up overnight, my energy. So, eventually, I was shivering, because I'm laying on a cold floor. You're not going to warm that spot up. It's attached to all the other rubber and all the other concrete behind it, and it's basically a huge heat sink. It's just sucking the heat out of anything warm you put on it. And if that happens to be your naked body, then you're going to get fucking cold, and that's what I did. And I've been cold before, being cold and naked's, yeah. So, I remember when the shivering started, and I thought, well, this will at least help warm me up. But, then it stopped. It became more and more frequent to where now I'm like, wrapping myself up tight, but I'm shivering like uncontrollably, especially my upper body. And then I start hyperventilating with it, and I'd calm myself down. I'm like, God damn it, man. Well, we'll see where this goes, laying there, and, it keeps up for a while. And I hear the door open, and, while I'm sitting there fucking shivering, what's going on? And the guy closes it and come back. It was a few minutes. Him and another jailer and the nurse. What I perceived, this was 3 people. Because I had my eyes closed most of the time. He's holding me down, presumably so I can't do anything. I don't know. And that's when I'm like, get the fuck off me. He's like, the nurse wants to check you. Can she check you? I'm like, get the fuck off me. And he's like, I'm not dealing with this. And they toss a blanket down. Like he said, they were going to, I think she said, put the blanket on him. And he said, only up to his waist. They wanted to make sure they could see my hands. I don't know. In case I pulled that knife I'd been carrying in my belly, but I don't know. These people are weird. That guy, he was this older guy. At some point prior to that, he was at the door, and I think that he might have been one who also offered me water. And you tell him, I need water. And he started saying something like, you need to listen, blah, blah, blah. So I jumped up, and I go over to the door, and I'm like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? And I'm sure I called him a name, and barked at him some more, and then I went and laid back down. But basically just let him know that, no, you had not broken this spirit. So they gave me the blanket, and a little while later I needed some TP, because when you start to empty your gut out, because at that point hadn't eaten. I think I had eaten some peanut butter crackers before I biked out, but I might not have. Might have only had the iced coffee, and I was going to stop at Quick Trip on the way to the sheriff's department and have a last meal, one of my favorite places to grab a Sammy. But it was about 4 miles from that when they picked me up, so I did drink some of my iced coffee while I was laying there waiting for them to find their bolt cutters. But anyway, so they leave me with the blanket. I cover myself up with it, and this makes a huge difference now. Now you can keep some of your body heat in. But now I think they're starting to think like, this ain't working, and maybe we have fucked up. I can't remember if then I asked something about when do I get my due process hearing, or when do I get my hour out, but I might have started to drop some little clues that I had cannons to. So, that old guy kind of changed his tunes. Well, then they brought me my lunch tray. And normally that would have got yeeted too. But I was pretty low at that point, and I think I just left it and didn't drink any water. Like, the water, I think they just left it there the whole time. Well, eventually they did. Said they're going to give me a uniform, and they're going to put me in a regular cell. So that's what they did. And then we had a bond hearing. And the DA wanted something stupid. What did he want? This would have been the Monroe County one. I think he wanted something like $5,000. I can't remember now. But it was something stupid. And he wanted all these conditions. I couldn't call them. I couldn't call the sheriff, the jail, blah, blah. Whiny babies. So they can't handle the job. I don't know why they think they should be doing it if they can't handle it. So I, appealed to the judge. I'm like, it's, my plant business, and basically all what they're asking for is unconstitutional, and I'm here for free speech. And I tell them, I said that I'm preparing a petition for declaratory judgment against one state judge for doing the same thing, which is partly true. I haven't gotten anywhere near to getting it done, but I've done a lot of the legwork, got a good idea of what I need to do. Because that is unconstitutional to criminalize my free speech. But the judge heard it, and he took it all in stride, and he actually seemed to be, kind of a calmer judge. And he still ordered $250 cash. And I knew that Monroe was a stopover. I knew that I needed to get to Marquette County, and that's when the fun would begin. But I also knew there was a chance that they might set a bail and I might not have to go. In fact, the older jailer kind of encouraged that idea. I was like, well, hey, it's before Easter, and if they do set bail, then they're going to have to come and get you. So maybe they won't, and I was like, yeah, maybe. But I wasn't convinced entirely, but I still didn't expect it was going to go the way it did. And so they took me back, and then they gave me, that must have been lunch. Maybe they did end up bringing a breakfast tray back to me, realized they'd fucked up. Anyway, I thought they offered me another tray while I was in the rubber room, and I declined it. Or I just left it there. And their water. And then, they must have gave me a lunch tray. And then I went to bond, and I left it there, and they're trying to encourage me to eat it, and I was just like, nah. And then, that's right, then I had the bond hearing via Zoom from there, and that's when Mark Slate set the $10,000 bond, even though the DA was asking for $500 signature bond, which means I could have signed out from Monroe County, found my own happy-ass way home, been home for Easter. They went ahead to transport me. I'd been given a new court date, and we just would have, continued the case. But no. Mark Slate set $10,000 cash bond. No way I was going to get that. So Monroe County actually had a guy. They called this old guy in, probably semi-retired, and he came in to do the transport. And but after I got the $10,000 cash bond, I came back to my cell, and I was still kind of chill for that moment. And the jailer actually asked, he said, Jacob, are you done with this tray? And I said, no. And so she left it. And almost immediately afterwards, I started to trash the cell. Smeared shit on the camera. Not shit. I mean the food on the camera. Banged the tray for a while, Tossed it down, then laid down. And then they're going to come and finally move me, transport me to Marquette County. And that's when, well, actually, then I forgot. They did let me use a check to bail out, which they told me they do not take checks. But, yeah, my battery's running low, and I ended up using a check. They made a trip to the bank to put it on my book, so then I could use that to get out. So Monroe County seemed really glad to get rid of me. When they did go to transport me, that older jailer, they have to, like, I'm doing dead man, so they got to, like, roll me over to put the thing around my waist. And he rolls me over and he puts his knee in my back, but he does it real gentle-like. And he says, Jacob, I'm putting my knee up here just to stabilize you. So he's explaining himself, and he's actually, in those situations, they're usually none too gentle, but he was clearly being intentionally careful. And I said, you know what? I said, since you've demonstrated your ability to reason, your willingness to compromise and find solutions, and I rolled over and I put my hands up, like, here, handcuff me. He's like, okay, well, if you sit up. So I sat up, and then I played like the nice dog, and they chained me up, and then they took me out, and then they took me to Marquette County, and I'll give you the other video for that as soon as I can.